Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is quite literally world-changing. We're looking at a comprehensive text that serves as a massive wake-up call for awakened souls. It's essentially a blueprint for stepping up as a community leader during what's described as a profound spiritual transition. Now, this isn't just about casually reading philosophy. This is formal training for aspiring leaders drawn straight from the curated teachings of a master. So if you've ever looked around, felt that humanity is standing at a major crossroads, and wondered, what exactly is my duty right now? Well, this explainer is definitely for you.
Okay, let's dive right into our six-part syllabus for today. The call of Yugasandhi, the guru as your template, the mechanics of surrender, transforming into a superhuman, the Vichar Kranti checklist, and finally, measuring your daily purification. All right, Section 1, the call of Yugasandhi. Understanding the profound awakening of our era.
So right off the bat, the source material hits us with a huge sense of urgency. We aren't just living in ordinary times, we are in the middle of an intense global and spiritual crisis where the very balance of nature is shifting. To really grasp this, we need to look at the concept of Yugasandhi. This is defined as a major transitional period. Now, right now, evil and ignorance might seem totally out of control, but you know the saying, it's always darkest just before the dawn. The darkness of immorality is on the verge of disappearing to make way for a new dawn of purity. But here's the catch. This dawn doesn't just magically happen. It's an active call. It demands that enlightened souls wake up, ditch their selfish desires, and actually shoulder the immense responsibility of rebuilding society.
Listen to the absolute conviction in this quote. This period is not for earning wealth or for spending time on pleasures, family, and happiness. This time has to be completely dedicated to Yuga Dharma. Wow. I mean, that is a serious, hard pivot away from standard materialism and personal comfort. It is a powerful demand to prioritize collective welfare and the specific duties of this new era over everything else.
Moving right along to Section 2, the guru as your template, analyzing a life of complete sacrifice.
Now, you might be wondering, if we're supposed to take on this massive responsibility, who do we actually model our behavior after? Well, the teachings offer the guru himself as a practical template. And this sets up a brilliant contrast between two completely different approaches to spirituality. On one side, you've got the worldly spiritual approach, people begging for individual liberation, personal favors, or just a VIP ticket to heaven. But on the other side, you have the guru's template. The guru spent 60 years gathering spiritual energy, not for his own selfish achievements, but solely to distribute it to uplift humanity. It's a template of total, absolute detachment and service.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the battery analogy. It is brilliant. The teachings explain that the guru must go into isolation, a state called ekanta sadhana, which is intense solitary practice. But he isn't doing this to just run away from his family or hide from the world's problems. Actually, he compares his past spiritual energy to an explosive force that has been completely spent on helping others. Think about your phone. To keep using it, a discharged battery has to be plugged in. He isolates purely to collect more energy, specifically so he can give it all away again.
Section 3, the mechanics of surrender, renouncing egoism to tap into cosmic energy.
So how does an everyday, ordinary person get access to this immense energy the guru is gathering? It all comes down to the mechanics of total self-surrender. Check out this incredible power grid analogy. Look, if you want to turn on a lamp in your living room, you don't go out and build your own power plant to generate electricity, right? You just plug the lamp into the existing grid. Historical figures didn't magically generate all their own power from scratch. They tapped into the spiritual energy of their masters. It's the same for us. You don't need to struggle through lifetimes of impossible physical and mental restrictions all by yourself. By dedicating yourself to unselfish service, you are essentially plugging yourself straight into the guru's power grid, instantly accessing his accumulated energy.
But, and this is a big but, there's a strict condition for accessing this grid. Look at this quote from the text. The right way to worship God is through complete surrender. In the absence of this surrender, turning beads in a rosary gives nothing in return. The author actually goes so far as to liken begging God for worldly desires to, well, prostitution. Because true devotion isn't bribery, right? It's sarvamedha, a complete offering of yourself. Renouncing your egoism is literally the mandatory entry fee to access the guru's power.
Okay, Section 4, transforming into a superhuman, the simple practices of jnana yagna.
So how do we actually do this? How do ordinary folks transform into highly efficient superhumans? The text lays out exactly how to build this into actionable daily habits. Step 1. Perform 30 minutes of Gayatri Japa daily.
This is to draw divine radiance right into your mind and body. Step 2. Set aside 10 paise every single day. This is a powerful symbolic gesture of consistent financial sacrifice for the mission. And Step 3. Dedicate 1 hour strictly to jnana yagya, which means actively working to reconstruct the emotional and mental consciousness of society. These are 3 super simple, highly actionable steps meant to completely replace materialistic habits with focused, daily practice.
Section 5. The Vicharakranti Checklist. Balancing household duties with Yugata Dharma.
You know, the beautiful thing about this training is that it doesn't ask you to just abandon your family. It asks you to transform how you lead them. Here is a super practical checklist for your household routine. First, live a simple life of self-control. Make your family cultured and independent. Stop hoarding wealth for your kids and grandkids. Honestly, they won't truly benefit from it anyway. And yeah, you must be prepared to bravely endure ridicule from relatives who are probably going to think you've completely lost your mind. But above all else, prioritize cleansing the minds of men, which the text says earns 1,000 times more merit than any standard ritual.
So the absolutely crucial point to take away here is that true service requires absolute humility. Aspiring leaders are explicitly warned against advertising their noble deeds in the name of spiritual work. Real spiritual work fundamentally rejects the ego's constant need for public validation. You've got to work silently and focus purely on constructive, transformational activities.
Finally, Section 6. Measuring your daily purification. Tracking your spiritual and emotional progress.
So if you're actually doing all of this, the daily practices, the big household changes, how do you know it's actually working? I want to pose this question directly to you. How do you know if you are successfully purifying your thoughts and accessing the Guru's energy? Since the Guru is physically stepping away into isolation, what are the actual metrics of success for us?
Well, as you'll see here, the source text lays out some really clear internal and external signs of progress. Internally, you aren't going to be receiving personal letters or direct advice anymore. Instead, you'll feel this rising courage. You're going to experience a special sankalpa, a sudden deep bravery born right inside you. And you will sense an invisible guiding force, steering you away from the wrong paths and pushing you forward. Externally, these abstract feelings will manifest as highly measurable actions. You'll start living a visibly simpler life. You will actively reject greed, and your physical energy will be spent working for the universal human.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to really hold on to this beautiful reminder from the text. A diamond will retain its value even when it is buried in mud. You might feel completely buried right now, under the mud of egoism or attachment or just everyday weakness. But your inherent worth, it hasn't changed one bit. You were born with a specific, highly potent purpose to lead during this profound era.
The master has essentially handed the flame over. He spent his entire life generating the energy, and now the grid is live, and it is just waiting for you to plug in. So the final question the text leaves us with is this: will you let the flame dim, or will you step up and shoulder the responsibility to rebuild society? The tools, the habits, and the energy are literally all right there for you. It's time to step up. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this deep dive into the source text has brought you both clarity and inspiration.